Dr. Ankur Das Gupta is a thought leader with 24 years of experience in marketing and advertising, spanning media such as print. Please take your seat, sir. Digital, mobile, and events. He was successfully led P&L initiatives and contributed significantly through regular columns and numerous interviews and podcasts on national and international platforms as well. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the moderator of the session, Dr. Ankur Das Gupta. Next up, the first speaker of this session is Archana Agarwal, media consultant and ex-VP Media Airtel. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Can we please have you on stage? Give it up for Archana Agarwal, media consultant and ex-VP Media Airtel. She's a passionate media advocate and marketing professional with over 20 years of experience. As an angel investor, she excels in both digital and traditional media marketing with a proven track record in FMCG, telecom, marketing, advertising, so much more. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. And we are really looking forward for your session. Next up, joining her is Khushi Khanna, news editor, Geo News. Please give it up for Khushi Khanna, news editor, Geo News. Khushi Khanna, a passionate media professional with over 13 years of experience, having worked with Economic Times, Outlook India, and Travel Plus Leisure. With a keen eye for detail and a talent for storytelling, she has navigated the evolving mediascape, delivering impactful content across print and digital media. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. And we're really looking forward for your session. Next up, joining them will be our next speaker, Amaya Swaroop, Partner Marketing Advisory Services, Ernst & Young LLP. Can we please give it up for Mr. Swaroop? The partner for marketing advisory services at Ernst & Young LLP, heading the marketing advisory division with nearly 2 decades of experience. He excels in fostering collaboration among marketeers, media agencies, martech partners, and of course, the media houses as well. Now, thank you so much for joining us. There was one more speaker. I would just like to talk about him. Unfortunately, he's not here right now with us. Sumit Pava, Head Brand Content, Social and Media, Tata Tele Services. Sumit, Head of Brand Content, Social Media, Tata Tele Business Services, excels in creating and nurturing purpose-driven brands that connect with consumers. He could not join us at the moment, but sir, of course, we are really looking forward to seeing you super soon. For now, this is the panel. We already have introduced you all to the subject, and we are going to talk about the importance of trends in the video generation, or perhaps the AI generation also that we are in today. So over to you. Let's begin with the panel. Over to you, sir. Can we have a huge round of applause, please?
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Hi. There are not too many people, but I would request, that's a humble request, if we can avoid using our mobile phones during the panel, it'll be kind of you guys. What we are going to try and address today is we are not going to do some boring gyan, but we are trying to have some experiential conversation. We don't claim to change anything in the next half an hour, but I believe the intent is to have a good communication where with experts like Amia, Khushi, and Archana, we can dive into certain aspects of what experiences and what is data doing, what is creativity doing, how is technology marrying with data, and certain things like those. So with that, I'll start with my first question, and this question is to everybody out here. Which was your first mobile phone, Amia?
I think BlackBerry, Nokia. I think Nokia.
Nokia. Yeah. I would have been surprised if it was my Nokia. Khushi?
I think it was a Sony Ericsson.
Sony Ericsson, wow. Okay. Your first mobile?
The first smartphone.
No, first mobile phone.
Mine would have, of course, been a Nokia.
Nokia.
Yeah, those are dumb phones.
Perfect, Nokia. 3310. Mine was 3310. There was no video. There was only snake game. There was no consumption of video content. It was interesting because that time I remember I was with G, and I got a BlackBerry when I was with Yahoo. And that was very interesting because we used to feel very good about having a BlackBerry, and that too BlackBerry with a scroller on the side, not the the sleek one. So the point that we are trying to arrive at, that over a period of the past 20 years, the consumption of content, audience behavior, the kind of audiences, our upbringing, and the upbringing of the generation today, the way they are consuming content. When I see my daughter, I feel very amazed because her IQ level, I feel, is much, much more higher than me. She knows how to scroll, she knows how to go to YouTube history, she knows what stuff to watch, where, when it is available. Even if we lock something like, there are some, वो nursery वाले क्या होते हैं, Diana and Roma and all that thing and all. When we don't want her to watch too many of that stuff, we are like, please, can we put some lock into it or something? And there is this YouTube Kids and all. Then she's very smart. Then she'll be like, I don't want to watch YouTube Kids. I want to go to YouTube. So, yeah. So that's very interesting. Amia, let's start with you. And we'll have some tangents flowing across to Archana as well, Khushi as well. Amia, about data, let's talk about a little bit around data and technology in perspective in terms of video. That's our topic, video and the trends shaping up and all. So we are not touching upon the trends as of right now. We'll touch upon certain experiences of your conversations, of your work, that you feel that you have seen change in the past, not much, probably the past 3 to 4 years, of the way audiences are consuming content. Part 1 to the question. Part 2 to the question is, what are marketers probably, what do they need to do right or need to do better? Those are the 2 questions that I'm asking your perspective on.
The first one is easier. The second one is fairly complicated. And what we've really seen is, if you see this year, the digital marketing spend has surpassed television. It's 50,000 crores. Television is, I think, 48,000 crores. Overall, total advertising spends is $1 trillion plus spends which advertising is doing. And, at EY, we are estimating that digital alone will surpass $1 trillion in about 3 years. That's how much digital will grow. Digital will grow on the back of content that gets created, right? So historically, the content creators were the television broadcasters, right? They were the content creators, right from the Ramayans, Mahabharata to the cartoons to anime today. That's how content has really grown with OTTs, with so many new platforms, like not just the Instagrams of the world, but MX, Takatak, and the Snapchats of the world. You have so many platforms and so much user-generated content today. In fact, for a marketer, I think marketers have really seen the journey of probably, and that's how I compare it, what we saw in terms of mobile phones, since you brought it up, right? From 2001 to 2005, right? From incoming being charged, right? Incoming being charged to data being free, from your CDMAs to GSM, and then moving to smartphone.
What an evolution.
Right? And that's what we've seen in marketing in the last 5 years, right? There used to be only one marketer, which was a brand marketer, who would do television, who would do print, who would do out of home, very traditional marketing, and build brands, right? So if you say Chyawanprash, you know it's Dabur. Not Baidyanath, not Himalaya. Chyawanprash is Dabur, for example.
Like Walkman is Walkman,
Correct, okay?
Casio is synthesizer.
So there's a lot of emphasis on building brands, which traditionally took place. Now in the last 5 years, digital used to be sub 2% of the market share for the advertising share or the media spend share, which a brand would be spending. And today, it's above 20-25%. For the startups, it's above 80%. So they have completely gone digital and very little on marketing. Plus, we've seen, and I think marketers today are really struggling with any new thing that comes up. So be it NFT, be it metaverse, be it data, first-party data, coming to AI, coming to Gen AI, and they're just figuring out, what's going to work. And each time a new technology comes in, it comes in as a magic wand, which eventually, and Archana can, support that, eventually it becomes an enabler, but not the central focus. because it comes with a bang that metaverse is the next thing. Everybody's going to move to metaverse, and
It disappeared all of a sudden.
and disappeared, right? So from the video perspective, and what our topic for discussion is, um, I think a marketer today is, and with Khushi here on the panel, I think it's a good mix, that the skill set today a CMO really looks for hiring, okay, is for somebody who's creating media. So a broadcaster who's creating content for mass consumption is what a marketer needs to create in all forms and shapes. And who better than a broadcaster or somebody who's running a broadcast business and strategy to drive a marketing strategy, because it's content. And I think that's the shift in focus eventually we will get to, where the video content or the content takes the center stage. So much more with AI, Gen AI, you have hyper local personalization. You can now start being video, where we were only talking about personalization at the scale of SMSs and emails, right? And maybe regional content. But you can now personalize at scale because of technology. So I think it's a golden era for a CMO to upskill, reskill, unskill in all forms and shape. Look at the new org structure today of what marketing as an organization has evolved, which was just a function, which was a support function, which was a cost center. Today has way more accountability. Now it's expected to drive revenue.
Growth, revenue.
Complex.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks, Amia. I mean, to your point on AI, since we are not discussing AI, but I will touch upon a little bit tangential thought that I have. With AI, what we are trying to do is, be it video, we are trying to achieve the end objective. And that's my perspective. When we look at personalization at scale, and we'll touch upon personalization also, there has to be probably a mechanism where, the brief that we, talk about people internally inside, what the conversations I overhear is, AI से creative बनाना है. So AI से creative बनाने के बीच में जो intervention चाहिए होता है, to put that, X factor, the emotion, the aspect of it, that's probably, there's a thing, it's my observation, that probably we could do better on that. Coming to Archana, thank you, Amir. These are great insights and the numbers that you shared. Archana, you have a great story with a legacy company, and you have a great history of working with, legacy-driven brands. We would love to hear from you on certain specific launches that you've worked on at Airtel, and what were the learnings in terms of, and it could be data, it could be creativity, it could be the challenges that you faced, how did you solve that? Any portion of that you would want our audience to know?
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to talk about the earlier question you asked about saying what should marketers do.
Please.
I think it's challenging because the audiences are fleeting and they're all over the place, and it's very difficult to figure out and get their attention, right? So obviously, for example, Reels. Like Reels is the big thing. Short form content was obviously grew very high, fast because of TikTok and all. But how many brands were actually able to harness the volumes that TikTok got from actual getting brand awareness or getting sales out of that advertising? I think Reels again today is something which is growing. People are watching a lot of Reels. But again, I think brands are still struggling because there's really, I know at least Airtel is struggling. I don't know what, I'm sure other brands are also struggling. The VTRs are small, low. Whatever best practices, even after you put in the best practices, it's because today consumers are not looking for advertising. They're looking for content, which is interesting content, right? So that was one thing. Coming to your question, so it's not an easy answer as to what should marketers do, because I think there is always a test and learn, constant experimentation which is required. And that's how I'm going to flow into the question you asked me, saying that, when video came up and started booming, I think the only way we learned at Airtel was a lot of experimentation. So we tested, we piloted, and then we expanded. Okay, now let me give some examples, right? Very recent example is about YouTube skip versus non-skip. I know some FMCG brands only use non-skip. And I remember reading some paper that they had published I mean, it was an award entry that they had sent out, saying that how for them skip did not work. Actually, non-skip was working much better, even with the higher cost. And I think at Airtel, we've seen something similar that when we actually run skip versus non-skip, non-skip does much better. Maybe gives it better VTRs, better returns, better. I'm not talking VTR, but more better returns in terms of say better awareness, better click-throughs and various other things versus a non-skip. Sorry, a skip. Always get confused between skip, non-skip. So I think that, so experimentation. Then the other thing is about what the other experiments we did were, how do you normalize all the various video platforms on one page to be able to compare them? I think that was always a big challenge.
I'll just have one question, interesting in between. Did non-skip work for you guys as an experiment?
Yes.
Did. Oh, okay.
It's actually, the results were, in fact, I just recently asked the team again this question and they said the non-skip actually worked with them, which is, but obviously there's a challenge because you have to have a really shorter, you have to have a 20-second edit or whatever.
Okay, please.
Yeah, no worries. So I think getting everything on a platform and to being able to evaluate which is the platform which delivers, right? I remember the first time when we saw some data, we saw Facebook videos to do very well. Why? Because they were taken at 3-second skip, at 3 seconds skip. So one of the first things we did was actually ensuring that let's have all the platforms at a 30 seconds VTR. If they're giving me 30-second VTR or a completed VTR, then I will compare. And so we created our own benchmarks, right? And that's how our video journey started, and that's how today Airtel does what it does. I think the big piece in terms of, you talked about launches of how we've used. So we've used AR, VR very interestingly. For brands like ours, which, like when you have a physical product, it's so much more easier to use. When I used to have the physical, I used to say Airtel is so lucky. It just to have, it's so easy for them to come up with something. Now when I was in this side, I was like, oh, we don't have a physical product. Everything is in the air. It's very difficult to figure out how to show the product, right? So when we launched 5G, we did two very interesting things, right? While the campaign was there, we did a augmented reality game. It was a racing game, right? It was like a temple run in a way. Indianized version of a temple run, very simple, just to showcase the power of 5G. How do you showcase the power of 5G? So the way we showcase the power of 5G, obviously speed, saying that because the whole concept was 5G gives you internet-like speeds, right? That was the whole tagline. Now, how do you connote internet-like speed? So you did a temple run type of game where the consumer basically had to use their head, the face was, and move their head to basically work. There were no buttons to do it. It was, and if they collected a 5G booster, they would get that additional energy to run faster, right? Simple game, which we all must have played, but how do you then adapt it to your brand, and how do you make that relevant, right? So that was something we did. We did something for fiber. Again, fiber, I can't show wires, right, or a box, but nobody understands that. So fiber, the whole concept was, we were talking about office-like speed, because we think the internet works the best in office, right? Now, how do you connect? It's true, right? That was the consumer insight. See, everything comes from a consumer insight. Anything that you do. So it comes out from a consumer insight. Everything in marketing is about consumer insight. So this whole insight, now how do we show it? That you can do multiple things at the same time. So in your family, if there are 4 people, all 4 can be on the internet and there will be no disruptions, right? So, again, you could put your face, and you could be doing 4 things at the same time, and that's how we connoted that whole, talked about fiber. On 5G, the other big thing we did was we created a program called Ultimate Fan. I don't think I should call it a program, but it was a concept called Ultimate Fan, Airtel Ultimate Fan. We tied up with IPL, and what we did was that there was Cricket Live, and there are cricket experts. India's love for cricket, 5G, how do you connote speeds of 5G? India's love for cricket. I always want to talk to an expert. So we got these consumers from different cities to in the avatar form, go into the cricket live studio and interact with the. Now, how do you make so everything has to be relevant, right? So that's how we drove the messaging of 5G. We tapped into the insight of cricket, the passion for cricket, and IPL, of course. I can't forget that, and still connoted the brand in a manner which was interesting because that's what people wanted to do. So, you know, I see video going a lot more in this space as 5G speeds have come in. 5G today is available everywhere. I think what can be done, potential of 5G is still to be tapped, right? Where I don't think anybody has tapped it. But this is what can be done. A lot more AR, VR, which was earlier restricted to just one or two, I can do it in one place or two places. I think what will happen from a future standpoint, it can get massified.
Oh, thanks for sharing this awesome example, Archana. Any specific challenge you remember you faced during these launches? One challenge that stuck onto you and which you felt that it was difficult to solve, and with your teams and all, you did something and...
I think the ultimate fan, the biggest challenge was that it should not, we were doing avatars for the first time, right?
Really?
And
For the first time?
yeah, I mean, I'm saying in such a scale.
Achha, in such a scale,
I'm saying
okay.
it's like it was scale, right? You're putting it on the biggest platform like
Absolutely.
IPL. And typically, if you see a lot of avatars, and if you had seen the year before was the metaverse time, and the avatars that were there were not so great, right? Or their movements were still a little stiff. So we needed them not to be stiff or cartoonish in a manner of speaking, and I think that was our biggest challenge of how do you ensure that it looks real. So when someone's speaking, because we had a split window where we showed the person who was in the studio and the other person, the avatar in the cricket live studio, and how they were, the fact is if the person is saying, yes, I love cricket, the avatar should immediately say, yes, I love cricket. So it has to be synced in such a manner. So I think that, getting that POC, I think was the biggest challenge of getting it right. I think that was it, because when we shared the idea internally, I think I didn't think I had to do much selling this time.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you, Archana. Thank you so much. Kushi, coming to you. So, the news lady. So, my question to you is consumer preferences. Okay. The consumer preferences we all know, has been changing over a period of time. It keeps changing as well. When there was the pandemic, the consumption pattern also changed in terms of... I'll share something about myself, what I consume, just a little bit icebreaker again in between. What do I consume as video content on my daily life? So I consume a lot of video podcasts, and those are primarily brand driven. My forte has been brand strategy, primarily on the marketing side. I consume a lot of motivational videos. I consume a lot of pravachan. So there are certain pravachan that I listen to. So primarily that. And when I asked myself this question while on my drive today, I was like, how has my consumption pattern changed in the past 5 years, say, for example? And I was thinking it has actually changed substantially and noticeably. And I did not think about it in between earlier, that how did I consume different kinds of content earlier. And I was looking into more or less each and every kind of content. I was looking into news far more often than I do right now. Right now I have a regime. I open the news in the morning, probably midday during lunch, and once in the evening. That's it. And earlier I used to consume a lot of content which I did not know what am I seeing. Anything and everything. Right now I have a regime and a schedule that I will only consume the content that I wish to consume. And probably it happens, when you evolve as a person, as a marketer, you know how to utilize your time. What do you want to watch? What do you want to listen to? But coming to Gen Z, it's a different story altogether. And we have all, crossed that stage as well. So your take on consumer preferences, how have you seen the shift changing? What has your experience been with respect to, say, in the past 2-3 years, your observations? And how do you see it impacting the way the future lies ahead for your kind of audiences?
Okay, so I'll begin with, of course, we've all established that consumer preferences have changed, but why they've changed is how we consume content, right? You said 5G, you said mobile phones. I think what people need to understand is that a mobile phone is not a tiny TV. It's absolutely not, right? Whether it's news, whether we were selling news on TV, whether you were selling a product on TV, both video formats, right? The mobile is not a tiny TV, just like the TV wasn't like, say, a visual radio, right? They're different formats. So the first thing to establish is that the device has changed. Now, when you were watching content on TV, when you were watching video on TV, you were catering to an audience who was sitting there to consume what was being served to them. That doesn't happen any longer. It's a scroll, it's a swipe.
Yep.
It is almost impossible to catch that attention, right? So you have to identify two things. The first is trust and credibility. There are so many people, and especially with news, I mean with deepfakes, AI, there is so much misinformation, fake news, and similarly for brands, right? There's so much going out there that you don't know who to trust, what to trust any longer. Even if you're a brand selling, unless you build credibility, like we were talking earlier, it's going to be a new customer. They'll come once and then they'll disappear. And even onboarding that first-time customer is not going to be easy because, again, so I think to sort that out, what you need to do is humanize your content. You need to customer testimonials, behind the scenes, user-generated content, which is, again, when you go into influencer marketing, it is not your celebrities and your big influencers are not relatable as much any longer, right? Because again, you know that is paid. The industry has, initially it was very interesting to see big influencers selling something to you through their content on Instagram. Now you know that they're being paid for it and they all are saying sponsored, they're all saying that, right? But a nano influencer or micro influencer still feels more relatable. So that is something to understand firstly. That is trust, that is credibility. Having said that, the other thing is, again, I think humanizing your content, how you are selling. You can't just, personalization is one bit. But
I love this point.
Personalization is one bit, right? But humanizing your content is also very important. Because you can't just create one piece of content and
Same thing
mass produce
I was
it.
talking about in the AI example that I was sharing.
Yeah, you can't mass produce it any longer. And even when you sell on, say, social media, right? And you have to understand Facebook is not an Instagram and Instagram is not a YouTube. So marketers also need to understand who they want to sell to and pick the right platform to sell on. You can't just say that, okay, Facebook has this much reach, Facebook ad chala do. It doesn't work. It absolutely will not work. And within each of these platforms, another thing, and that is something if you go to any of these reports, you'll understand that the consumption for someone viewing a news story versus something on their feed versus like, a short ad that comes, the consumption pattern changes. The amount of time they spend will change, right? So I think that identifying who your audience is extremely important and not mass producing one piece of content and saying paste it across every platform and it's supposed to give us results.
Yeah, the tactical strategy is very important, platform strategy. I completely agree. And the example that you shared, the statement that you made, mobile is not a mini TV. I so resonate with that. You know, I was, at one point of time, I used to have this N70 Nokia. I don't know if you, that smart kind of a phone. I don't know if it was a smartphone or not. So after the feature phones. So that point of time, we were discussing at home, what's missing in our home, what's the next thing? Because my dad was very aspirational. He was like, the next thing that I need in my house is a colored TV, because we hail from the era where we had a EC TV, black and white, the shutter door closed down. I still remember that. And those are the aspirations. We need a window AC. That was a big thing, right? So this is how the consumer journey in our house has evolved. Now the next thing that came, we need a Canon DSLR. And that time we all had mobiles at home. And I've realized that if we ask this question to people as a survey that, are you happy with your mobile or do you need a DSLR? I'm sure there'll be a separate segment of people, audiences, who would want to have a DSLR at home because of some knack or some aspiration of handling a DSLR, probably. I mean, just taking up from your point on consumer preferences, I just suddenly remembered. Amir, I would love to hear your perspective on consumer preferences because you have a lot of information. You've seen a lot of, spoken to a lot of CMOs across the industry. What's your take on? What's your observation? What do you gather on consumer preferences?
So something what Archana touched upon, the marketing KPIs have evolved to a point where it is now focusing a lot on attention, span of attention.
वो तो 6 सेकंड का है.
Was 3 second. Okay. To the point where Facebook started even, counting the impressions when you're scrolling. Right? So it came down to that level. So, and as we're talking about video, and which you can see in cricket itself from test to one day to 2020, right? Everything is becoming a sachet marketing, which we would know a lot. Maybe not the current Gen Z, Alpha, Beta, but that's what, snacking has become very important. So much so that even a series like Mirzapur gets consumed on YouTube in bits and bytes. Okay. So consumer preference is on the go. I think one of the things which the platforms are doing very well actually is identifying your interests and shooting the right content for you to consume. So you don't have to now flip through 40 channels to figure out what you want to watch. In fact, even on a Fire Stick, when you're there, you don't know what to watch, right? Yeah. So you take 30 minutes to just decide and probably just go back to Big Bang Theory season 7 and watch some episode. Okay. So consumption, so today I think the technology has evolved so much. It has disabled my selecting a preference when you're on a platform.
That's a hard-hitting point.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it is now deciding what I watch. And based on what I'm watching, it's deciding what more I should watch. Okay, in terms of video and the content I'm consuming. So it's now the choice is less on my side, but choice is more on the platform. I may like the content, I may not like the content, not watch it, right? But a lot of content decisions, unless it's a top 10 series, right? That's where you'll go. You'll see what are people watching. Let me watch it. I may start, not like it, not continue. But I am now, I'm deciding what to watch depending on what people are watching or what the platform is shooting on my face, which could be a pure marketing piece, right? That I'm spending more. Same is happening on your buyer preference, right? So Amazon is making, and Flipkart and Mintras of the world are making tons of money on the platform, in platform advertisements, right? So you may type T and you may see the top 4 are, say, Tata Tetle, and you will just pick that and move on. So coming to the other point that brand loyalty has gone out of the window. Pricing consideration has become very critical. Most of the brands are really struggling. So the brands which are surviving are the ones which have really invested a lot on brand building because that's where the loyalty is there. However, if you go to a Nykaa and you go to a Meesho, you will pick up the cosmetic which is cheapest, wherever it's available, on whichever credit card is giving you the best promotion. At the end of the day, you're not loyal to either Nykaa or Meesho or Flipkart or Myntra for that matter. So consumer preference, so marketing has become very difficult because promotion has taken the front stage. Your alliance and partnership for promotion marketing, be it cashbacks, discounts, have taken the front stage. Your product and product USP has actually taken a backstage, honestly.
So it's like saying if I don't get Maggie ketchup on the shelf, I'll get a Kisan or a Heinz.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do that quite often.
Yeah.
And taking your tangent from there, last week Sunday, I told my wife, okay, don't disturb me for the next 2 hours. I'm going to watch a movie on Netflix. Because I'm not a TV watcher, but I sometimes decide today I'm going to watch TV. So I come out after some time and after watching a movie, and I said, okay, I watched a movie. And she said, okay, which one did you watch? I said, I watched Top Gun. She said, you watched Top Gun, the new one, right? No, I watched Top Gun, the old one. He said, she couldn't believe it. So, consumers like us, I scrolled through, and here is what I did. I scrolled through, I saw a lot of stuff that was coming. I was like, today I'm in the mood to watch something like high adrenaline rush, so I'm going to go back to the old Top Gun. So I'm just saying, my behavior itself of consuming content has changed over a period of past 5 years. I used to consume quite a few series that people used to recommend, but I don't right now. So thanks, Amir, for this insight. This is amazing. Now, coming to long format and short format videos, since we were talking about the video formats and the attention span, where are we with long format? I mean, anyone of you can take this question. Archana, if you can want to add your 2 cents on, is long format video dead? Because I see it not dead as of right now. I watch certain long format videos, but I may not be the right example as of.
See, no, it's not dead. Okay, there's a role for it. I mean, 15 years ago, I heard TV is dead. TV is still here. During COVID, we heard print is dead. Print is going to die. It's not dead, right? There's a resurgence. Huh?
Out of home is dead.
Correct. Nothing is dead. So there is a role that every platform and every format plays in driving either awareness or consideration or purchase intent or final sale. Right? So it really depends. Now, typically, you'll do a long format for driving awareness because you have time to give a brand story. You've heard that Pooja Didi Facebook example, okay? It was what, a 6-7 minute, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
People watched it because interesting. Or the
I watched it.
Google India, the two grandfathers in India and Pakistan, right? Interesting story. So people watched it. Now, if there is an interesting story or something interesting for the consumer, they will watch it. It's not that they do not watch it. I was talking earlier about, short form content like TikTok. I remember TikTok, every time we would put some ad on TikTok, and TikTok at that time, if I remember correctly, used to count a 1 second view. What do you get in a 1 second? It just comes and goes, right? But when we did a particular campaign, there was this one campaign we did for Wink, which was free Hello Tunes, okay? The reason I bring this campaign up is because we said, let's just do it. I mean, like it's the right audience and things like that. But when we we gave the data back to the Wing team saying this is the results. They did a comparison between their performance marketing and this brand campaign, okay, on TikTok. And the fact is that the TikTok campaign actually delivered better installs, better quality installs, right? The difference was not much.
To the relevant audiences that they
To
need
the relevant audiences. Why? Because, I mean, it was like a 20-seconder. It's a long form, right? I mean, we'll talk it. But because it was of interest to that audience who was on TikTok, because you're going to get free Hello Tunes, and I'm not talking now free Hello Tunes nobody is interested in, but I'm talking about this 6 years ago, right? Free Hello Tunes was something like, oh, I can customize, and you could change the tune if you wanted. It was relevant, and that's the reason when they did the analysis. We didn't do it. They did the analysis and said, actually, can we spend more money now because the installs and the quality of audiences we are getting or traffic we are getting is far better in TikTok than we are doing when we do performance campaign, right? So, as I said, there is a role to be played, but obviously it can't be that you just put any kind of video campaign out and it will deliver. It has to appeal to the consumer, right? If it doesn't appeal, then obviously people are going to skip it. The other thing is that there are times in frequency capping. I have seen the same ad in one episode of 30 minutes 5 times.
5 per day per user.
5 in one episode. If I saw 3 episodes of that program, which is 1.5 hours, I would have seen the campaign at least 12 or 15 times. And I just wonder, right? Why is somebody not checking this? Yeah. Where is that frequency capping? So I think there are a lot of things to be done. And so that's where I believe that is long form still is there. Short form consumption is very high. From a brand standpoint, I would love to hear about any case studies or examples of some brand who has been able to crack the short form content, the reels, any short form, and is able to drive business or awareness because of that. I'm still yet to come across a really, really good case study. So that's something, so as I said, short form could be great to maybe give some quick news and get out, maybe. Just a reminder constantly if you're talking a particular price point or something. But long form is largely brand building in my mind.
But it's done not very often, right? And there is a lot of investment of time, effort, money that is required as well. Is that correct, right? For brands?
Yeah. So to Archana's point, I think it's a absolute legit point that I think all form of media, long, short, and different versions of short have their own utility. So you will use a different format for brand building. You will build a different format for a reminder medium. You will have to balance between a high investment and the low investment to sustain a campaign for a longer period of time, right? And that's where all your entire strategy comes and plays a very critical role. Frequency capping, huge issue in the industry. I don't know how many times I recall watching a Rapido ad during Geo
That could be
IPL.
retargeting also.
Yeah, but to the wrong audience. So coming from that perspective, I think all kind of mediums, all kind of whether it's TV, print, radio, out of home, within digital, Google, Metas of the world, and your video formats, all of them have their utility because your audience today is scattered, right? Brand building you will do across. However, the more you go at the bottom of the funnel, that's where these start to play a very critical role. And as Archana said, right, so my short form gave me better conversions as well because I could reach out to the specific target audience, which obviously through profiling, cohorting, and maybe data analytics, said that this is the audience which has the highest propensity to convert. Let's go target them. So I think all of them are required. Brand building, unfortunately, is taking a backseat with most of the brands today. So, and that's where when we were talking about that television will be dead, television is not dead. It's just not grown. Digital has grown. So your overall marketing spends have grown. Television has not grown, but digital has grown, and that's why it's 50-50. So television has pretty much stayed, 5-10% over the last 4-5 years. So all of them have utility. It has to be balanced very well in terms of what your marketing objectives are, what your business objectives are, and obviously your budgets play a very critical role. So most of the startups are only doing performance marketing because to do a brand marketing, they don't have the might.
कल से ROI चाहिए.
आज से I know. कल सुबह रिपोर्ट करना क्या हुआ.
I agree. Yesterday, I've been a part of so many such conversations. It feels, overwhelming at times. But we are kind of almost at the end of this discussion. I have a question for Khushi, and then we'll do some key takeaways around. Khushi, we'll talk a little bit about distribution. Marketers today also have a lot of plethora of options for content distribution platforms. What, in your perspective, do you see marketers should evaluate in the distribution front, or anything that you would want to share on that front on content distribution? Has it been any different from what it was 4-5 years back?
Yes. Oh, yes. It's been absolutely different. I'll begin with adding to what both of them said. Long form works, but you need short form to support it, to discover it. Basically, discoverability happens through short form, right? You cannot, whether we're talking news, we're talking ads, we're talking any marketing campaign, you cannot have just a long form video out there. The chances of it getting discovered are very low, right? That is where distribution begins. So you have to understand that first, that you need to have short, snackable content. It's a must in today's date. It's not negotiable, very honestly. Even if, like he said, Mirzapur people are watching on shorts and reels, right? And that is where a lot of us, I don't know if it happens to you all, you'll see a reel of some show and some movie and you're like, okay, this is interesting. So these are teasers. You absolutely need to have those, regardless of what content form you're going for. Now, having established that, distribution is also, again, very important to understand who you're targeting. If you're targeting a tier 3, tier 4 market, you need to go on share chat. You can't say, put me on Instagram because I think that's cooler. You can't, right? You want to target Gen Z, you need to go on a TikTok, you need to go on Snap. Actually Snap, right? Yeah. You, again, cannot go on Facebook, then you're targeting boomers. So you have to know your target audience. Again, it's not like TV where, the whole family is sitting, the grandparents are there, the tweens are there, and everyone's being served the same content. You as a brand need to absolutely know who is your audience. You cannot say, I'm going to just spread it out very thin. Someone will come from there. Doesn't work any longer. Of course, your ads were being served to everyone, right? So you didn't have to say that, oh, I am targeting the 50-year-old tier 2 woman. You didn't have to say that. Everyone sat at home, watched TV, and I'm talking about 90s, sat at home and watched TV at the same time, and they were consuming the same content. It's not like you had a TV on your phone. You were walking around. Say, to give you an example for Geo News, the app, the idea has always been to have a smart app where we have live TV, right? So whether you want to watch an older person who still believes you want to watch, live news, you have that. We have long form content, and we also have shorts, because there is absolutely no way to say that only this works any longer.
Because you need, as you said, snackable content.
You need
news.
snackable content.
Like YouTube Shorts, for example.
Yes, exactly right. So you need to have snackable news. The second thing, like I was saying, know your target audience. You can't target everyone. It's just a big no out there. And I think, again, the third thing, once you know your audience, is picking the platform. Don't go with just what sounds cooler on paper. Don't be like, okay, I think my brand will look nicer if it's on Instagram, but I actually want to send it to a share chat audience. Like when they were selling these Hello Tunes, it worked better on TikTok because that was the audience. So you have to you cannot live in a bubble any longer.
Wonderful, amazing, Khushi. Thank you so much. So at the end of this discussion, I'm going to request all of us to share two things. One is one piece of thought, maybe not an advice, but a thought that you would want our audience to leave with. And around the topic, around the video, it could be one of the trends that you see developing or any thought. And specifically, your perspective into the future. One summary statement that how do you see yourself, the future shaping up? Future is the next 5 years, 2028 or whatever, 4-5 years max.
I think future is just 6 months away, and that's how everything is getting curtailed. I think the future will be decided by the proliferation of technology and gadgets. It will not be the other way, right? So we all started consuming content because we had Reliance put fibers all over India and had cheaper bandwidth available. And this was supported with the mobile phones. AR, VR has been there, but are there enough AR, VRs out there for people to consume? Answer is no. So the technology will decide what gets consumed. Today, everybody's talking about connected TV. And why connected TV is being spoken about? Because smart TVs have now become 6 million plus, or maybe 8 million plus now.
That's in India?
That's in India. That's only Samsung.
I thought the number was less.
That's only Samsung. Yeah, it's more. That's only Samsung.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So, it's sizable. But I'm coming from the point where, you had TAM for measurement, which is 40,000 people meter. And now suddenly your measurement could go ballistic. You can get a lot more data, a lot more insights, and a lot more very specific marketing, doing a geo-marketing. So coming to the future, I think it's the technology which will drive the consumption patterns. I think there is enough tech, enough data, enough avenues to create now what will get consumed. Okay, whether it's video, whether it's audio, whether it's any other form of consumption. So I think technology will play a very critical role. Now we have to see what tech really gets in to work backwards in terms of what will have to be evolved.
And that includes a lot of algorithms, I'm supposing.
Of course. So there are a lot of infrastructure setups which are today taking place, for example, on AI and Gen AI, right? So historically we had film cities, right? In Bombay, film city in Noida is getting developed. And that was a content production hub. But now your content production hub or the technology hub will be single complexes, like your cyber park, where you will have studios, you will have different tech, which will then produce. However, the distribution has to be sorted first. How will it reach the last mile? And then this will just snowball. So we don't know what's going to snowball. It's crystal ball gazing at this point of time, but I think technology will play a very critical role. So hardware will play a very critical role.
Thank you, Amya. Interesting. Thank you. हाँ सबको सबका बोल दिया नहीं वो खत्म नहीं हुआ खुशी
I completely agree with that. And when it comes to distribution, I mean, I think there's an EY report which says that active mobile users in India are poised to grow to 740 million by 2030, right? So that is the massive number of people who will get to consume your content. But I think what we need to focus on, even with the advent of technology and every other tool that we're going to be equipped with, is quality. Because while your audience is growing, their attention span is diminishing by the minute. So you need to absolutely focus on quality. You can't just say, I'm going to use the best gadgets and the best VR and the best AR and hope to tap it. No. Unless you focus on quality, personalization, customization, I think it's a big no for me.
So Khushi says, focus on quality, personalization, customization, focus on your target audience. Archana?
I talked about it earlier, massification of AR, VR. I've already seen some examples of where you can use your phone to get immersive experiences. Right now, but like right now, that technology is very new. As that technology improves, these immersive experiences can be really. So I saw something where I just scanned. They had coasters made. You scanned the coaster on your phone, and you were inside the Narendra Modi Stadium. And they had that, and you could just do a 360 view. Now just imagine what that could take, what kind of immersive experience can you get on sports, for example. So I just believe that taking from Amya's point, technology, gadgets, and massification.
Technology, gadgets, and massification. Okay. Fantastic. I have only 2 cents. My 2 cents are that we marketers get very excited whenever there is a new technology that comes. I mean, I still remember when Facebook through play aaya tha, we were like, wow, 15 second ka video chala sakte. So, any small thing or any big thing that comes up, we always try our hands at it, at least try it out and see how it goes. Today, there's so much of intervention of algorithms and AI and new platforms. So I always ensure that I try and unlearn what I have learned, because it's very important to unlearn what we have learned and then, absorb the new era of technology and gadgets. And I always, my 2 cents is try and unlearn as much as possible for enabling the new learning to come in, because things are changing leaps and bounds in terms of video and the way it's, be it content consumption or be it the way we are advertising as well. And it's not that we have all the answers. Every marketer has a set of challenges. We all try and experiment, make some calculated decisions based on data, based on experiences, based on emotions. So here we are, and thank you so much, Amya, Khushi, Archana, and the MC. You have been wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you to the audience for being patient with us.